Hey everybody, he's Brett Kollmann, I'm Chris Harris. Welcome to Film Don't Lie University, where hopefully we will be teaching you what we look for, players at all positions on film, and maybe help you figure out some stuff when you're watching games on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays. Whether you're watching this on Brett's channel, The Film Room, or my channel, Harris Football, welcome, and subscribe to the other one, because we both like film a lot. So, Brett, tell me, like, really back of the envelope, what are we trying to do here with FDLU?
We are essentially trying to teach you how to fish. We're trying to teach you to identify which rookies you need to own that are going to be the next rookies to blow up, whether it's, this year's Alvin Kamara or Kareem Hunt. We're trying to teach you how to identify bounce-back players like Todd Gurley last year. But most importantly of all, we're trying to teach you how to identify the one-year wonders, the flukes, and the guys that are probably going way higher than what their actual value is. So once we can teach you how to do that, you will be a better fantasy player. I promise you that.
Absolutely. And so Brett and I both do tons of videos talking about specific players, what we think of them. This is less about that. This is more about the look ahead and hopefully teaching a man to fish, as Brett so eloquently said. And today's topic is running backs, and specifically running back power. You hear it a lot. Oh, he's a power back, and we like power backs because they potentially score touchdowns. And so we're going to talk about what we look for and what we're disappointed by sometimes when it comes to power in running backs. Now, power in running backs, I think anybody who's been watching football for really ever can identify the obvious power plays. We'll show you a couple examples here. There's an Adrian Peterson play that we can show you right away from last year against the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of what we think of classically as power, which is the ability to take on contact, pump your feet, churn those legs, and still get 5 extra yards through contact. I mean, this is true yards through contact, not the statistical yards through contact, which can be very easily inflated by 1 yard long run. This is what actual yards through contact looks like, and it's what we think of when we think of Adrian Peterson, is his ability to do this.
Right. Get in the end zone, dude. Do it right now. Do it 15 times, please. Maybe not anymore for Adrian Peterson, but, when you see people doing things like this, rock on. They're good. Here's one from Mark Ingram, another one where I think just what it looks like when a running back pinballs, right? It just, you get to the second level, the third level, and that's power. You take a hit from a really good player. I think that's Micah Hyde, and you keep going. And
it's an all-pro safety right there.
Right. We pretty much understand that is what we mean by power. Able to withstand it and stay on your feet. I want to get to a few other plays where maybe it's we can hopefully teach some folks. And maybe the theme winds up being power isn't just about staying on your feet when you get a giant full frontal hit right from a defender, but maybe some other stuff. Take me through a Ezekiel Elliott play where it's 3rd and long and he's got to get that yardage.
Yeah, I mean, again, Zeke is probably the prototypical power back in the NFL today, kind of taking that mantle from Adrian Peterson. It's because he has this ability, in terms of, and this is in the receiving game, so it's even a little bit different. He has the ability when he's got 5 yards to go to the sticks to deliver a really good stiff arm on a DB. I believe it's Nolan Carroll at the time, and this is from 2016, by the way. And then as he's kind of deflecting that blow with the stiff arm, he's able to lower his shoulder and take on that second hit. It's usually the second guy that gets you, not the first guy. But, this is a little bit more subtle power in terms of as he's taken the hit, or as he's taken the cut in the flat, lead foot, lead shoulder, get off me. He's not even looking at the DB. He just feels him there. He's able to absorb the contact with the stiff arm as he's looking for the hit coming from his right, lower the shoulder, and he has the lower body strength and the balance to still dive for the sticks and keep the drive going. This is power. This is what I look for. This is, actually, I got one better for you now that I think about it. I got Marshawn Lynch, who, again, we think of as a power back, but there's a little bit more technique to it than you think. When he's taken on that tackler in space, just like Zeke, this is a perfect textbook tackle, in terms of leading with that lead shoulder, bringing your weight through his frame, wrap up on the lead foot. But what makes Marshawn Lynch such a good power back, and it's what we look for in other power backs, is even if you have a perfect tackle, he's still going to put you on the ground. And there's a little bit of technique to it. You know, he's got a little bit of that forearm shiver, so he can absorb contact with that forearm and then finish with his legs. So you start with the arms.
That's a stiff arm with the ball, Brett.
Yeah, it's a stiff arm with the ball. You know, you start with the arms and finish with the legs. So kind of just like that Zeke play we just showed, this is an even better example because it shows how you can deflect initial contact with your arms and then finish with the legs as you're looking for contact. And again, he puts his face on the ground just like Zeke did. This is what we look for in power. It's not just strength. There's a little bit of technique to it too. And his technique is defeating the DB's technique in space and lets him get a whole bunch of extra yards. So, you know, it's a perfect example. And I think we have maybe a more subtle example to round things off that you can take us through with Alvin Kamara.
Right, because Kamara really isn't what you would think of as a traditional quote-unquote power back, a 215-pound player who was supposed to come into the league and maybe be a third down back. And I mean, I think maybe what I'm going to come down to is like, pay attention to the running back's arms. You know, that's fine technique. He's in the hole. He's waiting for him, and get off me. Like,
yeah, it's a perfect form wrap-up tackle through the lower body. But Kamara starts with the arms, deflects contacts with the stiff arm, and finishes with the legs.
Yeah.
There is technique to power, and he's definitely got it. And you don't think of it because he's 215 pounds, 210 pounds maybe even. People think of him as a change of pace back, but this is what power looks like, and it's a beautiful example.
Hey, quick break to say we're sponsored by Taft Shoes, and Brett, I wear my Taft shoes out at night sometimes, and they never fail to turn heads. They are just cool. Some of the most unique shoe designs in the world. That's no exaggeration. People will come up to me and say, hey, who made those shoes?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I got my pair, they've been my go-to go-out-to-dinner shoes. They're extremely unique. I mean, Taft has colors and patterns and material combinations that you really will not find anywhere else. And for people that really care about how they look, that care about the shoes that are on their feet, Taft is a name you need to know. I mean, they've got nearly 400,000 followers for a reason. I mean, people that love shoes really, really love Taft.
Yeah, and in a brick and mortar store, these shoes would cost $500 or $600, but Taft sells them online for about half that. Right now, we can get you $20 off your first pair when you click the link below and enter FDLU at checkout for Film Don't Lie University. $20 off your first pair, click that link below, enter FDLU at checkout. And now, the flip side. People have wondered for years why I'm so harsh on the original ham and egger himself, Bilal Powell. And it's not that I don't like Powell as a player. And frankly, we've passed the point where anybody watching this is worried about Bilal Powell as a feature back. But how did I know or think I knew 3 or 4 years ago that Powell was never going to be the feature back, that many of my tweeters, did Twitter exist 3 or 4 years ago? That many of my tweeters insisted that he should be, and he should be valued more highly. Well, it's runs like this, and it's guys who tackle Bilal Powell from their knees.
Yeah, I mean, 35-year-old linebackers that are able to tackle Bilal Powell from his knees. And, you know, it's lead foot, lead shoulder, like every running back coach in the NFL is going to teach their backs to do. And he's taking them on with the ball hand just like Lynch did. It's almost the exact same scenario, but Powell doesn't have the power to A, deflect the initial contact with his hand, or B, have the lower body strength to pull through that tackle in his quads. So this is, you know, if you're looking at a running back, you're trying to decide if he is powerful enough to be a short yardage back or maybe even a touchdown vulture like, you know, old school Mike Tolbert or anything like that. If you're trying to establish a ceiling for a running back and you're watching him on film and he's doing stuff like this in terms of getting tackled for 1 yard gain by a 35-year-old linebacker on his knees, that's a red flag. You know, this run right here lowers his value significantly because it raises questions as to how high his ceiling is. If you can't be a short yardage back, then, you know, what good are you to me?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, the NFL's changing, and no one would say that Bilal Powell himself is worthless because he'll catch the passes. He's a smart player or whatever, but you said it so well. The issue comes down to we're looking at other people who aren't Bilal Powell, deciding they're young dudes we don't know yet. Do they have the potential to break out? They've been a role player. Right, if you see stuff like this, be on the lookout. And if you let's reach the part of the program where we make fun of Rob Kelly, shall we? Our last little example of a lack of power is Rob Kelly, the late lamented 230-pound back who just didn't run like it. Honestly, this video sort of speaks for itself. You can take us through it really quickly, because if you see your big back doing this, you probably don't want him.
And again, Rob Kelly was a fantasy darling for a little bit, for a few weeks. Everybody thought he's going to get a whole bunch of production because he's the lead back. But if you're 230 pounds, you don't run like you're 230, you're not going to be around in the league for long. And this is 5'8", 190-pound LaMarcus Joyner taking him on in the hole and stopping him cold. There's a 43-pound difference between the two of them, and Rob Kelly gets stopped cold. This was early in the year. This was actually in his best statistical game, when everybody was buying Rob Kelly. I think he rushed for like 80 yards or something like that, had 5 yards a clip in this game. But he left a lot of meat on the bones, and this was the game that I actually traded him away from one of my PPR leagues, because I knew, like, all right, this guy doesn't have it. It's kind of a smoke and mirrors thing here. So if you don't see a running back who's 230 that can actually run like he's 230, as soon as he has a good week, trade him away, because this is a red flag. This is a huge red flag. Yeah.
Absolutely agree. All right, so this is Film Note University. Please subscribe to Brett's channel if you're not already on the Film Room, and subscribe to Harris Football as well on YouTube. I've got the Almanac for sale. That'll help you with your fantasy league for sure. Check out harrisfootball.com for that. You can find Brett's ranks as well. Brett, well done. We're going to continue on with FDLU and teach some folks how to fish. I like how you said that.